Allison, here's today's question. I just started my practice and no one is calling. I'm networking. I have a website that admittedly isn't great, but I'm working on it. What do I need to be thinking about? So before I answer this, I'd love to thank Therapy Notes for sponsoring Ask Allison. They are the #1 rated electronic health record system available today with live telephone support 7 days a week. It's clear why Therapy Notes is rated 4.9 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot and has a 5-star rating on Google. Therapy Notes makes billing, scheduling, note-taking, and telehealth incredibly easy. And all you prescribers out there, yes, they have ePrescribe. If you're coming from another EHR, Therapy Notes makes the transition incredibly easy, importing your demographic data free of charge so you can get going right away. Find out what more than 100,000 mental health professionals already know. Use promo code ABUNDANT at Therapy Notes for 2 free months. All right. For most of us, there is lag time between networking our buns off and getting our first client. And by lag time, I mean this like scary, panic-inducing, freak out span of time where you have to keep reminding yourself to calm down. If you're still working full time, you're wondering if you're ever going to be able to quit this agency job. If you quit to devote all your time and energy to your private practice, you may be raking yourself over the coals for this decision. I know that this part is not inspiring, but I'm laying it out here because one, most of us go through it, so you should expect it and use these tips to ease the fear. And two, to validate those of you who are currently in this space. And I promise it's okay. I know it is so scary. When we moved to Seattle, where I was a total unknown, I worked like a mofo. I met 90 people in my first 90 days in the city. We moved there June 8th, which was a Wednesday. I don't know why I remember this. My networking started the following Monday. And usually they were like, usually it was one a day, but sometimes it was 2 or 3 a days of networking. I didn't get my first call from a client until August 20th. And the only reason that I remember that date is because it's my birthday. But I decided to take it as a sign that I was on the right path. I'm really good at finding signs that mean what I want them to. And a couple months later, I was full. My sign was real. Yay. So we're talking 2.5 months of figuring out how not to lose it. When we moved to Asheville, I had a harder time hitting the ground running. We had a toddler and daycares had long waiting lists, and we had to find a trustworthy nanny, which after an awful experience in Seattle with a nanny, it just took some time. And because I'd learned a lot from my Seattle experience in building a private practice, I started getting referrals within a few weeks and they trickled in, but not at the pace I wanted, right? But I was full about 4 months after I started networking, not because it was a trickle rather than the flood I got in Seattle. And no matter what, like in both places, I had the same exact panic. In Asheville, I was like, maybe I just got lucky. In Seattle, maybe I don't actually know what I'm doing. I definitely had that fear. I give you these timelines to manage expectations. Very few people get referrals their first week. Very few people fill up in 4 months. I have a lot of experience. I knew all the steps to take. I also have a lot of joy in building a practice and building a business. So be easy on yourself if it takes you more time than that. Also, please be clear that I was on insurance panels in both of these places as well. And that's going to make you fill up way faster than if you're private pay. Getting full with private pay. I talked to another consultant who's been at it since like 20 years, and they said an average of 2 years. That's not what we see with our people. Our students are usually full within 6 months if they're working with us, and we're guiding them in something like Party Plus. So I just want you to know that there is a difference in how fast you get full between taking insurance and not, because it's real. So here are some tips that worked for me during both of those startups in Seattle and in Asheville. Number one, I want you to get the foundation of your practice settled. Have your paperwork exactly how you want it. Get to know your systems really well. If you're using an EHR like Therapy Notes, play with the test clients until you know it backwards and forwards. Test out the credit card processor, the online scheduler, learn how to bill insurance if you're taking it. Figure out what features you need in that system, because you don't need all of them, but you may need more than you would take on if you were busy, right? Like you may be able to really explore in a cool way. Number two, make sure your website is awesome, which you're working on, and that you have an actual marketing strategy. So first you need a niche. This is going to make all of your marketing 1,000 times easier. And while you have time, tweak your website copy, which is the writing on your website. Make sure it's speaking to your ideal client. Make sure your website template is clean and that your images look like your ideal client. You're networking and you're improving your website, assuming you're using marketing best practices with each. That is a great start to what will be filled out as a full marketing strategy. Most therapists are going to need up to 3 more ways to make it easy for your ideal client to find you. So think through how your specific ideal client, who's one person, it is not women in transition aged, 17 to 63. It is one person with one age and one set of problems. Think about how that one ideal client who doesn't know anyone in your network, how would they find you? There are so many options. There's online listings like Psychology Today. There's SEO so that you're on Google. There's workshops, there's blogs, there's vlogs, there's social media. Those are just a few examples of things that work. Choose what you are going to enjoy and be consistent with. And they don't count as marketing if you aren't using marketing best practices. So you can't accurately say you're marketing using social media if you're posting once a week. If you need support with this, message me the word help. We can chat about how we can be helpful. Number 3 is make sure it's easy to get in touch with you. No matter what system you're using, whether it's a phone, an online scheduler, HIPAA compliant email, make sure someone in the throes of misery can easily figure out how to make an appointment. You would be shocked how hard it is for people to find that on some websites. And I would also say, make it really clear where you are, because sometimes we don't, like, even if you're online, like, say what state you're on very clearly, where people could reach out to you, so that if they're in Minnesota and you're in Georgia, they will say, like, it doesn't make sense for me to call this person. Number 4 is to have fun. Some people are going to tell you you should be in the office during all the hours you plan to work. But there is only so much website and paperwork tweaking a therapist can do before losing her mind. You have downtime. Go to the park, take a midday yoga class, go to a movie solo. I used to take these really epic walks down the beach with our dog. We'd walk for like 3 or 4 hours sometimes, just like breathing in the salty air and practicing being present, which especially at that time was not my strong suit. If you've been in a 9-to-5 job, it's going to feel like you're playing hooky, which I love for you. Number 5, meditate. Or whatever your version of meditating is. It might be that walk. It might be prayer. But find some sort of way to get out of your head. I found that when I was consistent with meditation, my phone started to ring, which reminds me that you need to answer your phone. That's number 6. Let's say a client is given 3 therapist phone numbers and they call you first. If you don't answer, they may leave a voicemail, but then they're going to go ahead and call therapist number 2. And if therapist number 2 answers, they're going to get the client. So it's okay if you're nervous when you see an unknown number. I have a script that we talk about in my checklist, and we have in depth in the Abundance Party, but have a script that you can answer with and answer the phone. I would rather you have to tell a telemarketer, I'm getting off the phone right now 10 times, but catch that one client that is an unknown number, especially when you're trying to fill. Number 7, network, and then network some more. Network until you have hit a limit or your practice is too full. So trust yourself about what that limit looks like and the pacing of that. I'm extroverted, I'm outgoing, I love, love, love people. So 90 people in 90 days works for me. If you were introverted, it can be a much slower pace, but I don't want you to to network with any fewer than one person per week. And that might mean you reach out to a few people every week in order to see which one of them can grab coffee or a Zoom meeting or lunch. Number 8, go ahead and freak out. Holding it back isn't going to help. Just give yourself permission and space to feel how you feel. It's scary. And anyone who tells you they went into private practice without any fear is either uncommitted to the process or lying, or they just have plenty of money stashed somewhere. So don't actively feed the anxiety when it comes up. Just accept that it's going to be there. And until you get that steady stream of clients, that might be something that you work alongside with. So number 9, Talk to supportive people as much as possible. Please avoid the naysayers. If your dad is still pissed you didn't become an accountant, he is not the guy to call at 11 p.m. when you're anxious. Call your friends in private practice who get it. Talk to your partner who knows you can move mountains, even though you're lying on the floor with tears and snot on your face. Become a part of our community. We get it. Pep Talks are a pretty steady part of our offerings because I know that not everyone has people who know how totally doable this is, and you need them. You're going to feel insecure. You need your most supportive loved ones right now. If I didn't have my partner and my parents and awesome friends, many of whom I met while networking, I'd probably still be on the floor with tears and snot on my face. Number 10, trust. This is the absolute hardest part, but it's also the most important. So try answering these questions to earn the trust that things will work out if blindly trusting isn't really your bag. Answer these questions for yourself. Are you doing things that have yielded referrals for other therapists a few times a week? So meaning it's a proven strategy that works. If you're like going out and getting a billboard, that's probably not going to work. And that's not a strategy that has been used by other therapists. So do something consistently a few times a week. Another question is, are you emotionally ready for private practice clients? I have seen people really, really block their own progress because they had a fear of success. They had a fear of making money. They had some self-worth issues. These are great things to go to therapy over. The next is, are you physically ready for private practice clients? Like if you're in person, you have an office with chairs. If you're not, you've got like an encrypted computer, you've got Zoom that's specific for HIPAA, that kind of thing. The next is, are you networking? It's an easy yes or no. Do you have a good website? Is the next question. Is it easy for potential clients to get in touch with you? Are you taking good care of yourself despite your anxiety? Now, if you answered no to any of those, tweak it so that you can answer yes next time. If you're doing everything right, you're going to get clients, so you can trust that it's going to work out. I hope that that helps. I know it's really scary for a while, but that fear isn't a sign that you should give up. It's a sign that you're human. I spent months in each place that I lived feeling absolutely panicked. And now, many years out, I remember how panicked I felt. And it was such a tiny amount of time looking back. At the time, it felt like an eternity. So it's this thing that in the future, once, like, if you can take a zoomed out view, in the future, you'll be like, yeah, that was a hard few months. But God, look what I built. This is amazing. So reach out if you need help. Use the word help. You can just throw it in a DM and we are happy to help. If you don't know if you're ready for a private practice, it's okay. We have some free resources you can explore also, but you do not have to stay stuck in private practice limbo. Today's free worksheet is 6 tools to shift scarcity mindset. These can really help with the mindset side of things because that fear is real. All right. I hope you have a really great day. Take care.